Hey, Instagram! How are you? This is breaking news Instagram Live. Now, well, it's not a breaking news Instagram Live, but it's a special Instagram Live, which is not on the usual time that we have, which is Friday at 10 p.m. That's on slot, and that's happening for sure. But here, I have a special guest, and I wanted to have a go live with her. She is a very interesting individual. I will not give away the name. I'll just call her live, and then we will have 1 hour of unadulterated talks. And that should be a lot of fun. All right, let me get my guest line. Da 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 da. Hello, Mukund. Hi, Ritika. Hello, everyone. Hi, Nikita. Hi,
Hey
Iram.
Ankur.
How are you?
Hi. Can you hear me? I'm good. I'm
I
good.
can hear you
So
very well.
eagerly waiting for the live session. That's great.
Awesome.
Eagerly waiting for
How are
this
you
live
doing?
session and always thrilling to see you to start it.
Thanks so much. How are things?
Yeah, things are pretty fine. We are all dealt with working from home. We're just coping up with everyday mechanism of how to deal with it. Still, I think we are getting used to this new normal thing, but it's so enriching to see your sessions every day together and be motivated and inspired all together to strive again another day with the same monotonous activity, but something with a very positive aspect. So I think it's going to be a really enriching session altogether today for
Awesome.
sure.
No, awesome. I look forward to it. I was really keen to speak to you as well, and there's just so much that I've heard about you. I followed you that it was very intriguing when you wrote in and said, "Could we do a co-live?" I was like, "Sure, absolutely. Never say no to interesting people." So I love that. For the benefit of everyone who's watching in from my channel and may not know you, could you very briefly tell what is it that you would love everyone to know about you?
Yeah, sure. So guys, my name is Eram Zehra, and I have been working from like since my graduation first year, since I came to Delhi, and I kept working. I really wanted to work. I did not know what I'm doing because I was not clear in my mind. I was just experimenting with things. Then I started doing fashion blogging. Then I got into corporate, and now like I'm finally working as a brand manager, building up a brand from a scratch altogether. So that's my journey on a corporate side, and I'm also kind of giving a lot of sessions on Saturdays, and dealing with children and students who come up with me and ask me, I'm not clear with them because I can totally relate with them and I can understand that it is a part of the life, and it's okay to kind of question that, and still somehow I try to come out with something that that can help them out, and that could be a takeaway for them maybe in terms of whatever they're looking for that. So that's my snapshot of a small journey of my career right now. And I keep watching Ankur's video, be it on LinkedIn, be it on Instagram and Facebook, and it really motivates me sometimes when I you know, am I creating the session altogether or something that I'm creating a content, I try to incorporate a lot of things that Ankur also strives to, inculcate. So I think that
Thank
is
you.
something that I was looking forward to, and that's why I sent the request to Ankur to kind of do
Thank you
this
so
as an
much.
initial session.
That's really, really nice of you. Thank you so much, Iram. Thank you so much. I would, this is something that's been on my mind, and I didn't Google it because I wanted to hear it directly from
Yeah,
you. You have such a lovely name.
yeah.
I would want to know what does it mean?
Yeah, so it's an Arabic form of a name. It means paradise. That's what my parents named me for. So I think, yeah,
Very cool.
people generally ask me for the names. Yeah,
I know exactly. And the right pronunciation will be Iram or Iram.
Eram, Eram.
Aram,
Yeah,
Aram. So
yeah.
it's
It keeps
it's
on
it's
changing with the
actually
kind of people.
yeah, I
So I'm
get it.
like,
What's the worst pronunciation you've heard of your name?
I mean, it could be Aram. I used to be like made fun of like Aram, Eroom, uh, like error. There was a teacher who used to call me error also sometimes while taking the attendance. I was like, it's fine. I'm just used to people saying that.
Wonderful. And where did you grow up? What part of the world did you mostly grow up in?
Yeah, I was born and brought up in Varanasi. I did my schooling over there. Majority of my school life was over there. and I was focused on, cracking medicals or doing something on engineering or something of that sort that I could just crack it up, knowing nothing that I really want to do it or not. So I was like preparing heart and soul towards medicals, and I kind of cracked it also into like a dentistry area, but I realized that I can't do that. Like I'm not made for that,
Yeah.
and I have to discover it myself by exploring it and maybe doing a hit and try, and why not just exploring it on my own to see what's going on. And then the digital world like just came up, in social media was booming on at the same time, and people were talking about Facebook and Instagram, and I think that's how things got changed, and I finally understood what I really
Awesome.
wanted to do.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So I know that in preparation for this go live, you did ask your audiences for a bunch of questions that you wanted to
Yes.
ask me. And I'd love you to go ahead and we can have a nice, happy chat. You're someone who's clearly helping a lot of people. And I love the fact that you're spending your time in just cutting through the clutter and making a lot of sense for young kids. I love that. That's something that I am very passionate about as well. So I'm pretty certain between you and I, we will
Yes.
cover a fair bit of ground today. So do you have any starting
Yes.
questions
Yes.
to kick off?
Yes. So I started getting questions from the day I posted it, and there were questions generally picking up major topics regarding the scenario, the job scenario of the present condition of the economic crisis that's going on. And there was one very interesting question that was like, I know that the condition is not right. I'm not getting good opportunities right now, but I think there's still a positivity in the side that I can prepare myself to make myself better. So, what do you think? uh, that somebody who has just got into the field of corporate and want to get into this field and is still striving hard to get into that, uh, uh, enter into this field altogether, what are the steps that one should start looking forward to on a broader level? I mean, it's so wide that there's so many things that one can do, but
Yeah.
on a broader level, what do you suggest people to get ready to for that
Got
when
it.
things
Got
come?
it. Yeah, no, and that's a good question. So I get asked this a lot as well, Adam, and I think the way that I approach this is not like a very generalist statement, but somewhat of two directions. Direction one is, are you in a position where you're very fortunate that you don't really need a job? So you perhaps have financial backing from your parents, or you have savings of your own, or you don't have any financial liabilities, whatever the case may be, but you're in a position where you don't really desperately need a job and
Yeah.
you can perhaps navigate through this hard time without one. And direction two is, you unfortunately are in a spot where you need a job. Like there's no other way that you can even afford to exist or live. You need to pay for yourself or your family and so on. Now, in the first case where you don't really need a job, my suggestion is, if you don't need a job, then wait for the right job to come along. Spend your time in upskilling yourself. Spend your time don't waste your time. Don't definitely waste your time, but spend it on learning new skills. Spend it on networking with the right kind of people. Spend it on writing the right kind of cold emails and reaching out to individuals seeking job opportunities.
Yeah.
Connect with them, form meaningful exchanges. Don't let the pressure of time get to you, because what you have is the luxury of a financial stable backing. That doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that you have to rush through things.
Yeah.
And if you are unfortunately in a spot where you do desperately need a job, then, as bad as may sound, don't be picking up or waiting for the right kind of job. Just get yourself any job that keeps you mentally and financially occupied.
Yeah.
It's very important that you don't fall into the trap of, this is the worst thing ever. I'm not getting what I want. I am losing my patience. I'm losing my peace. I'm losing my stability, my balance, because nothing's worth it. Recognize the fact that whatever we are going through, as hard as it may seem, is temporary. It is going to fix itself. We just don't know when. Is it 3 months, 6 months, a year? Who knows? But we do know that this will get fixed. So what you don't want to do is let 1 year of perhaps not your choice of job ruin your balance, your peace, your calm, because that 1 year is not going to define your life. No way. You're not going to get boxed like, oh my God, this is the 1 year and you spent at a, let's say, at a call center. So you're never going to get a job in, say, HR or sales or marketing. No, companies will be understanding, people will be understanding, you have to be understanding as well. So this will be my approach. If you have the luxury, then please upskill yourself and wait for the right kind of opportunity and connect with the right people. If you don't have the luxury, then pick up anything that starts paying you and gets your mind occupied while you continue working towards what could be the right opportunity for you, which will be hard, unfortunately, but will eventually come by.
Like coping up with the whole situation and understanding what could be a better approach altogether.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So there was another question similar to that and very practical, I would say, in a way that people were like, I have some aspirations. I have an aspirational salary number that is there. And due to the pandemic time, I'm not sure if I will be able to get that kind of a hike or, that kind of a number. So how to make myself, feel self-sufficient or to be ready with that kind of an aspect? Or is it still going to be the same kind of like there will be futile salaries and there could be better numbers altogether? So what do you think on that?
Look, the reality, Adam, is it is a tough time for everyone, for individuals, for companies, for industries. It is a tough time. So just as you have to manage your way through, companies also have to manage their way through. And that means that you will have to be practical in what you expect. Here is how I think about it. What you need is usually very different from what you want. I'll say that again. What you need is very different from usually what you want. So let me start using some core examples here. I need only, say, 10,000 rupees a month to cover my expenses and to be covered with every financial responsibility that I have towards myself or my family or anything else. But I want 50. And that is the difference. So at this point of time, I feel that it's very important that people recognize very, very clearly what is it that they need. I'm not suggesting that you settle for that, but it's very important for you to recognize what is it that you need. Because if you do not have a sense of what is it that you need, which is just the simple addition of all the costs that are non-negotiable for you on a monthly basis, whether it's your rent, whether it's food, whether it's the internet and so on. And then there is the want section, which is things that you want to do for entertainment, things that you want to do for feel yourself good about it, things that you want to do to shop and buy new clothes or a new phone or anything like that. Those are things that are not necessary. They are desirable, but they're not necessary. And as long as you're very clear of what the need is, then any conversation that happens around what's your expectation, how much should I get, whether there is an appraisal and so on, becomes a very practical conversation because now you have this range of what I want and what I need and somewhere in between. If you do not know what the need is and you only know what the want is, then anything lesser than a want will always disappoint you, will always leave you feeling like you are inadequate, you are being cut off, you've been taken for a ride, so on and so forth. And that's not necessarily true because the market and the conditions outside are hard. They are hard. But if you have that range for yourself of need and want, then suddenly it becomes a lot easier to deal with.
Makes sense. Nice. It was so well detailed out, and I think it was well answered as well. I'll tell you, I'll come up with the third question that was there. So it was a question that's irrespective of the timing. So it was more of about how do you see employee who are, hopping from their jobs frequently? Like as an entrepreneur yourself, you're looking forward for somebody, building up a team altogether. Is job hopping still a thing or it's not there anymore? Like it totally depends on the candidature, their skills altogether, or it still plays a pivotal role in kind of, hiring someone?
So there are two aspects of job hopping. One is I encourage, and I'm not being a hypocrite when I say that, even at Nearby, which is the startup that I used to run, I always encourage people to always be interviewing. Always be interviewing. outside of the company. And here's why. I told them that if you continuously keep interviewing, you will always know what your market price is. And it's very important to know that. It's very important for you to know what your market price is. Here are two outcomes. You will realize that your market price is actually far greater than what you're being paid right now. In which case, you either go back to the company and make them recognize that that's the fact and they make a change, or you simply ask yourself, is the current company that I'm in giving me anything more that compensates for the loss of financial opportunity cost that I am getting? And if the answer is no, then you leave. And if you find out that the market price is lesser than what you're getting in the company right now, it suddenly settles you down. It makes you feel like you're not being taken for a ride. But this discovery is a very important part. Because in the absence of the discovery, we all think we are getting paid shit. We all think we're not getting paid enough. We all think that someone outside is always getting more, because guess what? We always use that one data point to rationalize our opinion and our thoughts. Oh, I am getting paid 6 lakhs, but my friend somewhere in some part of the country, in some company, is getting paid 8. So I am being taken for a ride. No, what if everyone is usually getting paid 6 and your friend is an exception? So that's one thing, which is always keep a sense of your market price live with you. But does that mean that you hop just because of money? Of course not. Of course not. That's a foolish thing to say. The right approach will be, think about what all in addition to money do you want from life? Whether it's growth, whether it's learning, whether it's a great culture, whether it's peers that inspire you, whether it's a boss that encourages you, whether it's a leader that you want to follow, whether it's a product or a market that you want to participate in. There are several other dimensions. And the worst mistake that you can make, especially early on in your life, is to think that a small difference of money is good enough for you to hop. Because money in a short term doesn't mean anything. It requires long years of compounding to actually make sense. And the only way that you can get to that compounding is if you stick at a spot for long enough. Of course, if everything else is working for you. So long answer short, the best way to think about job hopping is constantly be interviewing so that you know what your market price is, and always compare that market price that you're getting with what you have, and then ask yourself, what else do I have in my current setup that either compensates for the lack of this market price parity, or is enough for me to say, you know what, even if the market price is higher, I'm not going to make a jump because I get a lot more in my current company.
Yeah. And the hopping could also be related to other reasons altogether, which could not just be related to financial conditions. So I think that also comes into play when somebody is taking up a decision of hopping or like changing, or what they're actually looking forward to that kind of a role, right?
Absolutely. Like, for instance, if you're in a toxic culture, or you're working under a toxic boss, or you're working with in a setup which is just not forgiving, then it doesn't matter how much money you're getting. It honestly doesn't suddenly matter how much money you're getting, because you're literally wasting your life, your mental peace, everything that you should be striving for just money. And that's never going to be worth it. And take it from someone who's 40 and has lived life perhaps a little more than you have. It's just not worth it. It's absolutely not.
Yeah. Cool. I'll move forward with the next question that I have. It was by a woman leader who had been into the space, and she was also an entrepreneur, but also wanted to get into the corporate side, like how it works and stuff like that. So she wanted to understand about the sex ratio in a corporate culture. Like when you started the company, did you ever think about equalizing the sex ratio among the employees? Because people say about the pay gaps that are there and stuff like that, which is obviously, there is a lot of conditions that still exist, which women leaders are struggling hard to kind of work forward to it. So on that aspect, as an entrepreneur, what is your take, and how do you take it up to deal with it?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So I genuinely believe that gender balance and equality at the workplace is absolutely critical for the simple reason that the world outside is more or less balanced when it comes to the gender. So if you want to bring in an equal representation of ideas,
Yeah.
of thoughts, of worldviews, of emotions, of just the way that you approach your customers, your employees, you need to replicate what happens outside within the organization itself. Otherwise, it is always going to be a completely divergent view. And especially if you are a consumer company, which most of companies are, like they're ultimately serving a consumer, whether a direct consumer like us or a company, ultimately, if you're serving a consumer that is living in the world which is represented by 50% men and 50% women, but you are in a company that is 80% men and 20% women, you are always going to have the wrong solutions. As simple as that. It's just common sense. It's not even something that is, oh my God, we need it for this or that, and so on and so forth. Now, it's easier said than done, because the unfortunate truth, Aram, is the educational system is not throwing out people in the desired gender ratio itself. While in
Yeah.
school, we more or less have an equal distribution. Unfortunately, in India, most girls do not go on to do an undergrad, then they do
Yeah.
not go on to do a postgrad. So by the time you are selecting students from colleges or from postgraduate colleges, you have an overdominance of men. So the supply itself is skewed. And that's why,
Yeah.
unfortunately, the intake will also have to. And that
Yeah.
means that if an organization wishes to have gender balance, which is a very desirable metric to go after, they will have to force fit their way through this supply that exists, which is skewed towards men. And that is when an organization with the intent will be able to do it. But if someone's just sitting and saying it will happen by itself, it's not going to happen by itself. It's not going to happen by itself, because the world outside, at least in schools and colleges, is not representative of the normal world outside. So
Yeah.
in our organization, for instance, we always cared about having women representation much higher than usual, especially in functions that don't have enough. Like engineering is a great example. Software, we're
Yeah.
a tech company, and most engineering functions in a tech company, when you look at it, are like 90% men. And
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of the fact that at least at Nearby, we were 63% men, which still isn't close to the 50% that I would have wanted, but it's far, far, far greater than the 90% male dominance that most engineering firms have. Overall, in the company, we were 43% women. And I know that we had to consciously work towards it to get to that point. It wasn't as if we were just sitting and it happened magically, because the world outside in colleges is not 43% women,
Yeah.
especially across all the functions that we had. So I feel that it is necessary, it is important, because it's the true reflection of the world outside. But just wishing for it is not going to make it happen. You have to work towards it.
Yeah, makes sense. The preliminary aspect and the educational aspect of the school was something that we really miss out most of the times. We don't get
Yeah,
into the roots of, like, it's not just in the corporate, it's all coming down to the roots on the basic
yeah,
level as well. So
exactly,
that was
exactly,
take a note.
exactly.
Yeah. Coming on to the next question that I had was an interesting, fun question that I got it on LinkedIn. So it was about that, how do you inculcate the culture at your workspace? Because you're giving so many sessions, you have so many channels that that inculcate positivity all around. So how do you maintain that kind of a culture and a setup in your own organization, and as employees in other organizations as well? How should we be striving towards positivity, be motivated every day to kind of do some kind of a mundane activity, because everybody is not doing creative jobs or something that they really wish to do it. Sometimes they're doing it because that's the need that they want to do. So on those regards, what do you say?
So I, at least personally, and I can speak for myself, Aram, the good thing that we did at Nearby, at least when I was managing Nearby until last year, was peg ourselves on two things: consistency and authenticity. Whatever we did it consistently, and whatever we did it authentically. And what that meant was there were very little surprises that we wanted people to experience or go through. Because a surprise, while it may look like a happy thing, can also be a bad thing if people are caught completely off guard. So all of our decision making, all of our conduct was be authentic, be who you are. You don't have to be pretending to be anyone else. You don't have to act like or behave like or speak like or look like someone. You can just be yourself and be comfortable in your skin, and we will respect you. We'll respect you for just that. And that was wonderful. And we will do that consistently. We will do that not because it's the nice thing to do this month, we will do it forever and ever. And that will be true for anything else that we pick up, which is we will give you a lot of freedom if you are authentic and if you genuinely be yourself. So, what if you make a mistake? That's perfectly fine. But if you own up and you're authentic about it, that's the better thing to do, because then we will know that you didn't mean any harm and you just did it like anyone else, and it didn't work out, and that's perfectly fine. But the feeling was, don't pretend to be someone else at work as against someone else outside of work. If you can get individuals to behave exactly the way that they behave in real life at the workplace also, I think your problems are solved. I think most of your problems are solved. The truth is, most people, the minute they enter their workplace or their office, become someone else. They are this fun loving, happy, loud laugh individual. And the minute they enter the office, they're like super serious. They're like, I don't want to take any risk. They're like, I don't want to shout out. They're like, I don't want to laugh out loud. They become someone else. So you're essentially crushing the personalities of all individuals that are working with you. And that's never going to get you the best results, because they will constantly spend an insane amount of energy pretending and trying to be someone else. And that's such a waste of energy. So I I don't know any other way but just to encourage people to be themselves and to be consistently so. And that just worked.
And it takes a lot of efforts to become another person altogether. Like the energy that you're striving to make yourself to become something that could be driven altogether to the work, and that might make you even better. So yeah, well said, well said. On the same part of the intimidation that you just mentioned, I had a question wherein people were asking, like, how do you balance yourself by being so active on social media and people still approach you and they don't have that kind of apprehension that it's intimidating to should I be questioning, and so how did it all start, and what's your take on that? Like, how do you manage it all together?
It's the same response. I'm just authentic. The best thing about me, as not so humble a response it may be, is I am exactly the same person every time. Like, you wouldn't find a different Ankur if you were to meet him at workplace. You wouldn't find a different Ankur if you were to meet me at Starbucks. You wouldn't find a different Ankur if you were to bump into me at a mall or have Instagram live with me or have me in one of my videos. I don't put up any new or different facade given the context. And that just makes life so simple, because I don't have to try and remember who I was in front of whom. I can just literally be whosoever I am and not care. And I think people see through that. They may be intimidated because of what they think I am or what they think I am not. But once they get to interact with me, I'd say that almost everyone consistently does end up saying that you were far easier and comfortable to talk to than I imagined, which I take it as a compliment.
Yeah. Which I also faced it in a similar manner as well. So I would also agree to the same way. I think that was the majority of the questions that you've already answered altogether. I think they would have got the answers, and it was a great learning experience for me too, because it was so insightful to I'm sometimes stuck in the middle when I get such questions because I feel that I'm still yet to learn so many things. There's so many things in the life that I still have to discover, and should I be really answering to that question? But I think this was a better approach to kind of root you in and get those answers from yourself, from your own experience altogether. So it kind of adds the value and weightage to the whole answer and the aspect towards it. Thank you so much, Ankur. It was wonderful talking to you altogether.
Thank you for being participative in this and going through the hard work of finding these questions out. I loved answering them. Thanks always, and continue with the good work. I remain a follower, and I definitely will catch you around sometime soon.
Yes, yes. Same here, same here. Thank you so much, Ankur. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Great. That was quick fun. This was not a replacement for my live. We are going live tomorrow, Friday. I love doing that and I really look forward to it. So I'm not giving that up for anything. But this was just a quick midweek introduction of having another live. I just wanted to see how it goes. And I think it went pretty well with the kind of questions that came along and the answers that I gave. I will see you all Friday night, 10 p.m. for Friday Night Live with warikoo. Until then, have a wonderful Friday and stay safe. Bye.